making it tonight. It was a nice cold night. Go ahead and call the meeting to order, 6:30. Attendance.
All right, Daryl Bailey,
Here.
Ryan Bailey, Kevin Becker,
Yep.
Laura Brewer, Emily DeVoli, Jackie DeShaw,
Here.
Josh Gardner, John Hanson,
Here.
Jeremy Harris, Dave Hubble,
Here.
Fiona, Sandy Johnson, Morgan Kidd, Gloria Lansdale,
Here.
Brian Mace,
Here.
Sergi Mace,
Here.
Lynn O'Donnell, Jared Palmer,
Here.
Aaron Reese,
Here.
Tad Smith, Julie Smith,
Here.
Donna Smith,
Here.
Matt Sproul, here, Vincent Mangalio, Sarah Moore Cooper, staff,
Here.
Crystal Plante, staff.
Here.
I'll spell that differently every time. John Van staff,
Here.
and anybody from DOH.
Okay. All right. No new members. Go ahead to minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
Motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Go on to committee reports, secretary. Secretary.
Well, I wasn't here
I
last
think-
time.
John said he was gonna look at the
Yeah,
attendance.
so
and get back
I'll
to us.
have to look up and I'll discuss with the executive committee the ones that are in jeopardy of with the attendance because they don't have it right here.
Would now be a good time to ask a question on that?
Sure.
So, I can't stand being on this list, and I got a letter. I thought that while I was having my brain cancer stuff, that we were gonna. So how long am I going to be getting these letters if I?
Well, I mean,
I can answer that.
When do they fall
So-
off? I guess is my.
So absences, we've had conversations about changing the bylaws depending on certain needs, like a medical needs. Right now, there's nothing written. It's, you got a certain number of absences and you're out. Many of us didn't think that was appropriate. I know Hubble next to you's also got the same concern. Nothing's been truly written and sent towards the bylaws committee to change it from what I know. So it's something that needs to be changed.
So I should propose something. Is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
The bylaws committee.
and just so you know, you're only going to get the letter once. And then-
Great. So that's my letter.
So after, well, it's a rolling
We
calendar.
get a different letter if there's another one.
So, and I can communicate with you what the dates of your.
It's a rolling calendar year.
Yes.
Because I have a surgery coming at some point. As soon as that's
Yeah,
so that's really going to.
write up an amendment to the bylaws and propose, because it's got to be brought up during the meeting
Okay.
and then discussed and then voted on at the next meeting.
Well, I'll work on that for the next
Process.
meeting then.
Does that fall under any of the committees or do we just?
Mine
Well, that was bylaws.
Okay, I couldn't see them
Which is
listed.
Jeremy.
Which is Jeremy.
6 months.
He's not here.
Right.
Yeah, so almost 2.
Because they're common, the bylaws change, and we asked to go to 2 meetings.
There's some sort of time frame. Yes.
You bring it up at one meeting, you vote it on.
Right now.
You propose the draft and then you accept the final version.
Yes.
Yep.
It takes 2 meetings, you propose it at one meeting, and then the next meeting you can vote on
We can start by putting it on bylaws committee. Perfect, there we go, and then we can.
So add Kevin to bylaws.
it.
I'm already on bylaws.
Oh,
That's
then
what it
perfect.
means.
We're supposed
Yeah.
to be.
Your surgery coming up soon?
I have some time. I'm still a little fat, so I got some time to work on some things.
Well,
I got to lose a little weight, but
chances are, I mean, it'll get to this then, maybe chances are the July meeting, unless we need it, we'll end up upping. There'll be
Yeah.
another meeting that we need for CON, but we have some room before the September meeting. So
And September's a big one, remember?
that's a double, yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
double.
we
meeting.
You get a bad one,
Yeah.
Change the bylaw, don't you have to post it for 30 days first and then
Yeah.
post that.
It needs to go, yeah, it'll need to come.
Right, it'll be brought up, posted, and then voted on in the next week.
Well, I'll take the first step, I'll write it up and I'll put it down. And
Put it, pull them out.
Put this thing in Jeremy, all right?
Okay,
All right.
perfect.
I wish I was kidding.
Okay. All right, moving on to treasurer.
Oh, the financial report was, as you were coming in.
I know there was a question last month, and it's similar this month, so the negative net income, is that?
So I actually didn't know about that, I wasn't here at the last meeting. So
Well, it is still on this,
the net income, you said?
yeah,
We've actually never showed positive.
right, and
Yeah.
it's just more curiosity, is that anything related to non-revenue contract funds? Is that something that we routinely operate there?
Right now, we're showing a negative 17 in 18 days.
Right.
That's a question.
A lot of that has to do with timing of classes.
Right,
So
okay.
you're gonna show the income when you have tuition being paid right at the start of classes. You're gonna show income for grants, all of those type of things. So it is very much a timing thing.
Okay,
So can we get a financial sent out for the full year, January through?
like a year to date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just curious, because I've never seen a positive.
You want fiscal year or calendar year? Because we.
Clarify year, please.
Yeah.
There's so many.
We'll do both. What's it hurt?
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
I mean, I'm happy because I obviously reviewed the audit on the executive side. I'm very pleased with that, but we should not have a continued meeting showing that.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. Training and
Well, we have a couple classes coming up, I'll defer that to the office here just a second. That's all I know about as of right now, like I said, we've had a couple meetings now, so. What are the classes currently on, we have core content?
So they're starting next month, so June. So we have a core content class, we have an original, and we have a refresher.
We also have the gates.
Oh, and I always forget that class. We have
That's already currently going.
Yes.
Alright. Executive, nothing too significant. I think the one thing that we had is outstanding or open was the MOUs possibly with the college. We met with them April, I think it was early April. And that was around potentially some MOUs to finance and fund or have payroll for some of the instructors. That ended up washing itself out. They're going to do that directly through the college, so we will not have a need for the MOUs, so that is closed. The college is going to use their own, what do they call it?
They're doing
Personal
it,
service agreements.
Yep, PSD.
We won't, that was going to be more of us having to do the pass-through, so we don't need to do that. So that can be closed out. Otherwise, nothing significant from executives that isn't already coming out somewhere.
And just for the paramedic.
It applies only to paramedics, yeah. Public relations. Is it?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
I don't have any report as of right now, I know there was an initiative we were working on, some funding, I'm actually texting Emily right now as I speak.
Okay.
To get some more info on that as well, but I don't have anything to report.
Okay. And I think we can kind of lump, at the last meeting, I think you weren't here, but Emily was here, and we talked about the funding for the recruitment and retention. We want to lump that into the public relations committee since they're the two on there. So the contracts came through and the funding will be there for the recruitment and retention that was proposed in the budget, as well as the paramedic scholarship. So one of the things we need to do is create some framework around what that recruitment and retention is going to look like. There's homework that needs to be done as far as market analysis, so you can add that to public relations committee.
We're trying to, one of my counterparts has his program agency parent company as their own marketing person. So we're trying to potentially share market analysis so that we don't need to spend money to pay for something that somebody else is already doing.
The money will be there, we just have to have, and unfortunately, nothing has been put out officially from the state as far as what we need, it's just no guidance, as far as what's around that, but other than what was verbally been said at the, I think, two state council meetings ago. So I provided that to Emily, she said you guys would work on some ideas for that.
Can I make an offer?
Yeah.
Not an offer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, if everybody's been watching the news with Hobo giving the free money for the classes that need technical classes that are getting done, being able to go get a job and everything, paramedics should fall underneath that as well, very highly. So my question is to, and the high players are here, someone should step up and get a hold of what those actual requirements are and do some kind of a public relations to these agencies or for the agencies to start looking at who they've got that they would like to send forward. Because I know it's going to still be difficult. Yes, we want to send 10 of your people, but we can't afford to, we can't
Right.
staff.
Right.
But then it would give them an option for some of the folks that originally they could only fund 2, now they may be able to send 4. It's something, the other issue is on that, this is Hokel's budget, which is April 1 to March 31st. So it should cover the first 2 semesters, not necessarily the second one unless it renews. But if you can get a kid a year's free, you guys should be jumping on it. How can I get my kids through this?
Right, so that's separate from the paramedic
Yes.
scholarship. So, we have that, but I think absolutely, we should.
Because it may come to the point where you need to think about an additional paramedic class starting in September to follow the state budget rather than until January, because then they would only get 1 semester.
And just so you know, FLCC is listed on this, I just double checked. FLCC is listed on the state website as a eligible paramedic program for this particular program.
This other program.
Yeah, so when people who are interested go to the state website looking for this, we're right there.
Okay.
So.
But I think it is certainly.
Well, it's something for the agencies to. The agencies don't know anything about this.
Well, we'll have to see what the criteria is
So,
on those sides.
Yeah, it's ages 25 to 55 with no previous degree.
So yes, I think we should get some information out to the agencies. They need to start taking advantage of it. But then the other issue is would they start a new one in September and it's just a thought? Or do they
It is
wait
the
until
same.
January? Because if it's September, if something can work in for that, then somebody needs to start getting after them to apply. They still are eligible for financial aid. That's why to take the opportunity. But you guys are all the big players on this, so you're gonna have to push it.
Okay. You guys want me to look into that? Anything else from public relations? Remap is tomorrow. City EMS Council, that was last week, almost 2 weeks ago. I'll get my notes typed up and sent out for that, just a couple of things that I'll just bring up that were discussed. Obviously, the award letters and contracts came out, and that includes the paramedic and the recruitment retention. The one thing we had talked about doing, I think at the last meeting, or maybe 2 meetings ago, is developing a criteria for the paramedic scholarship. I think that's something we probably need to work on. And I think there was discussion on talking to college to see if we could potentially, if they had some criteria they could share with us, unless anyone wants. I think it's something that, if the money's gonna be there, let's be prepared to use it.
So I've already sent out the email reminder that I do need tuition, textbook cost, all of the things in addition to getting in contact with somebody in charge of scholarships over there for established criteria.
Okay, perfect. So we're at least,
The likelihood, though, that we're going to be able to expend that in this contract year, which ends, by the way, at the end of June,
right.
is unlikely. So we're really looking at July 1st going forward, just to be real about it.
But let's be prepared and be able to utilize the money,
Absolutely,
obviously,
yeah.
and be able to to get those, at least,
Yes.
and we'll figure out if it's two, I think we've got around two, maybe a little bit more students, right?
Yeah, I think just with our ballpark figures, it sounds like we're gonna be able to fund 2 fully, which was the requirement.
Right,
And then whatever's residual, we may be able to offer partial
we'll just have to, yeah.
awards of some sort.
And we'll just find that criteria around that, as far as who gets the full, who gets the partial, or how we break
And
it.
there's some question as far as, because let's face it, there's a degree of administrative, is there an allowable cost for administrative function out of both of these programs?
But positives that we have, the contract, positive those things went through, are included in it as money that we'll be able to utilize at the regional level. So EMS Memorial, that's tomorrow already, so. Mental Health Symposium and the Research Academy are both two, things that they're gonna be offering. If anyone, I would imagine those, I think you've sent both of those out just as a
They've
reminder.
already, the fellowship programs, they've already announced the slots for this
Okay.
calendar year.
Okay.
For those individuals that apply.
The waiver for simulation, do you want to bring that up? I can preface it and then we can bring it up later. It was something that was brought up and discussed at the state meeting, a suggestion to have a waiver for the beginning of classes to cover the program agency or the course sponsor, I guess, either side, course sponsor, surrounding simulation and individuals and their comfort level and understanding that they may be involved in patient interaction, pretend patient interactions, physical touch,
assessment.
et cetera. So that was brought up, there's one agency region that is doing it and it went forward through
It
Remsco.
became an issue at Global College and we created a policy which was passed along to the Remsco training ed committee who has accepted that and is issuing, or
They are issuing policies.
so
Policy statement.
Remsco
approved that.
approved, but not a policy.
Not
statement.
requiring it, but approving that they recommend heavily that agencies and programs do this so that if a student comes back and says, I didn't know I was gonna have to pretend to be a patient be touched, then they've signed. We have proof and documentation they've all been told at the beginning of class.
But that's been in the FLCC student manual for years.
Yeah. So,
Okay, they just read the required student manual, they signed, they
We
read
know
it.
how well they do that.
Hey, they signed a piece of paper stating they read it.
Well, this
this will
will be
this,
above and beyond and they'll have
Right.
to sign.
so it's coming out from the state and something that we've got a template for, and I think we'll move forward with it. But, nothing else significant, I'll send everything else out, in the comments from those meetings. Legislative review. That's Jeremy, nothing from him, okay. Program director's reports.
So a lot of work has been done with AHA renewals and updating our insurance riders and so forth with them. Getting new instructor cards out because the end of this month is our mass renewal process is done, I can attest. So we've been actively working on that. Believe it or not, we've already started conference preparations already for next year. We've been working, now that we have our award letters, to complete the documentation that's required and approval processes and get all that submitted so we can get some reimbursement coming back. We had a lot of day-to-day operational stuff that we've been dealing with.
FLCC coordinator's report.
We just finished a whole bunch of classes, tested out a lot of students. I said an executive, I'll say it again for everybody, Crystal deserves all the awards. I could not be here for most of the PSEs because either my own classes that I started working in this job were testing out, or I had previous commitments from last fall. So Crystal wound up doing a lot of the heavy lifting for the PSEs, and she deserves all the medals for that because they went off okay, and like really, I know I'm embarrassing her, but really she was the one who did a lot of that because I couldn't be here. And also Figure Lakes, you guys were a huge help, and thank you, as well as Wayne County sent over a medic for our BOCES PSEs. If anybody would like to be evaluators in the future, we would love to have you be evaluators. Right now, I'm working on our core sponsor renewal. A lot of it's, not a lot of it, probably half of it's new. And we didn't know it was going to be required until May 1st. So I've been trying to guess what they were going to put on the renewal because I know it was changing and work on that. And I got some of it right, some of it I didn't get right. But we should be submitting for our renewal by the end of next week. With all of that said, I have put in my 2-week resignation. I am done on next Friday. I will have the renewal done before I leave. It's a great job. I love this job. Unfortunately, I just need a full-time position at this point that I am not expected to need. So I have accepted a full-time job on my hometown ambulance. And I know there's wonderful people who can do a full-time and a part-time job, but I know my bandwidth and it's not that. So I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity. It's been great. I've learned so much. Like I said, life just sometimes throws things at you, and I need to work an actual full-time job and not cobble together a couple of time ones. So
College is starting the process of posting.
That will,
I know.
they're looking at right now, so the whole alignment under what department the EMS office falls under is in question, so it may lead to a revision to the job posting to go back to reporting under workforce until the realignment is approved to go under health science and human performance. So they're evaluating that currently.
Okay. So we'll regularly ask them for updates.
So is there a June executive meeting?
Yes.
Because they're gonna have to sign off on all of them, colleges, and whatever league that is, you need to get something from the college. Ours and Gates County's. For League Gates County's up for renewal as well. Sponsorship.
Okay.
They have to be approved by the council.
So they have changed it a little bit. I can send it all in pending all of that. So
But if there's no July meeting got canceled.
Right, we have executives, so.
yeah.
Well, we'll have to do.
When we are canceling it,
We'll
yeah.
have to do a Remsco meeting at some point upon completion of the CLM process. So,
There'll be something.
And unfortunately, normally this would be the meeting that we did that in, but we didn't know until literally 2 weeks ago on May 1st when the portal went live what it was going to be. So that put us behind just because of that. But normally this would be the meeting that was all approved in. So we're gonna send everything in and they have a bypass for that, but yes, at some point at the next meeting, you'll need to do that. Nope, nothing else.
Nominating committee? Okay. Recruitment retention committee, I guess I didn't realize we had a committee of that, so. CON committee is not on the agenda, but I think it's certainly something we have updates on. You want to share?
Yeah, absolutely. Gates and Wayne, obviously we have received their applications. Some corrections were requested, and we have now since deemed them both complete, and we're waiting to schedule the public hearing and the public notice. So that's currently where we stand.
With that being said, we'll need to have a meeting once those dates are determined, once the hearing is, public hearing date is determined, what that timeline looks like, so.
Sure, is it for 2?
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Yeah, they're 2 days apart. Yeah.
What were
2 days apart.
Yates
County
Yates
County
and Wayne.
and Wayne County. We're both up, but Yates was
Yeah,
in
Yates
May,
was in
and
May and June, and
Yeah.
Wayne County was just in June.
They were both deemed complete, one being the 15th of May, the other being the 13th of May, so starting the clock at that point. So. All right. Any other committee reports that we have missed? Okay. Moving on to unfinished business. We need a motion to carry forward the awards that were submitted and provided to at the conference to put those forward to the state as nominations. I don't know if you want
I
to
can,
have those.
I can recap what was given up. So, for BLS Provider of the Year, it was Carter Waldies from the Victor Farmington Angels. For the Leadership Award, it was Jared Palmer. For RN of Excellence was Christine Sproul. For Physician of Excellence was Scott Glick. For ALS Provider, it was Kristen Hilbert from Finger Lakes. Agency was Canada Emergency Squad. And for Communication Specialist was Jason Bassett from East County.
So probably the most robust group that we had in the list to be able to submit. I think, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So, anyone want to make a motion that we submit those to the state?
I'll make a motion to send them
second.
All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
I will abstain.
Make sure you get that.
That should be.
Yes. Okay. Only other thing on business from last month was Daryl Bailey had verbally accepted the job offer, and sounds like that is actually commenced, and sounds like things are going well.
Daryl's handling our
Our equipment coordinator, so
He's doing fantastic.
thank you for accepting that and working on that, so. I know Crystal said you've been very helpful, so. All right. Any other old business, anyone?
Not old business, but I just got, by the way, happy EMS week,
Yes, I
everybody.
had that on the beginning, so happy EMS week to everybody, I missed that.
Just wanted to let everybody know of some hospitals that are doing some EMS celebrations. If you and your agencies and other providers want to take advantage of it, Thompson Health in Canandaigua, tomorrow, May 20th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. They're doing breakfast sandwiches right under the awning outside the emergency department. On Wednesday, May 21st, at the Newark Wayne Hospital, they're doing an EMS luncheon where they're doing a fajita bar, drinks, and dessert. It does not give me a time, but it says go to the ambulance entrance. And then Clifton Springs Hospital is doing food and drink
It's noon until dawn.
noon until dawn. So Clifton is doing, all it says is food and drink from Monday through Sunday, the 19th through the 25th at the entrance. So probably some to-go stuff.
Any new business? Anything?
I have one thing. I did send out, I talked about this in the executive, but I did send out Paychex Flex invites to anybody that had not signed up that is currently a staff member, and we have rolled out the mandatory harassment training. So if anybody receives that, they do have to complete that, or they have to provide proof that it has been completed
Within the calendar.
within the calendar year. This is a yearly requirement per New York State. So everybody is getting those Paychex Flex reminders and does have to do that training.
We still need to work on
The handbook, yeah. As soon as we can set up a meeting, we can literally fly through that.
We'll get those revisions out. Any other new business? Anyone? All right. On to Department of Health Enforcement. I had a request at the last meeting to read the name first, so I will start with the name. So we have Jasmine Garth, violations of 10 NYCR 800 Part 3, 800 Part 3 AM, 800.15 Part A. Surrendered effective 5/14 of 25. EMT number 472835. And it is Jasmine Garth out of Newburgh, New York. We have Flremsc. This was effective March 6th of 2025. Violations of 10 NYCR 800.3 Part AP. EMT number 410111. And the person is out of New York. Revoked effective 4/18/25 is Timothy McCabe Jr. out of Attica, New York. EMT number 471857 for violations of 10 NYCR 800.15 A1, 800.15 A2, 800.3 AM, and 800.3 AO. We have Mark Jeffries, suspended 1 year effective 4/1. Suspension is stayed pending no further violations of PHL 30. 10 NYCR Part 800 during a 3-year probational period, assessed a $500 civil penalty. Violations of 800.16 A7. EMT number 399153, Mark Jeffries out of Jamaica, New York. We have Daniel Howard, suspended 3 years effective 4/21/25. Suspension is stayed pending no further patient abuse violations during a 3-year probationary period. Assessed a civil penalty of $2,000. Violations of 10 NYCR 800.16 A1. EMT number 440655, and it's Daniel Howard out of Patterson, New Jersey. We have Mark Dalton, suspended for 1 year effective 4/23/25. Suspension is stayed pending no further violations. Public Health Law Article 30 or 10 NYCR Part 800 for a 3-year period. Assessed a civil penalty of $1,000. EMT number is 307321. Mark Dalton out of Canton, New York. And last we have surrendered effective 3/28/25. Ashan Abdullah. Violations of 10 NYCR 800.3 AP. EMT number 390820 out of Binghamton, New York. And that is all the state enforcement. Anyone have anything else? So as far as the July meeting goes, we'll leave it on the books. We'll see, as we did last year, in case we need it, that way it's canceled. But there's a high likelihood we'll need to have a meeting before that for the CON decisions. So we'll make sure in accordance with the posting and timelines.
As soon as we get the hearing officer's
Yeah.
recommendations, we can schedule Remsco.
We'll make sure we get that out with plenty of notice for all those regulations. But we will need to do,
10 days for moving our.
so,
And the meeting can be just for that, right?
correct,
Yes.
correct.
So,
So if we don't need a full council meeting, we can move to, we'll see where things are at, but if we don't need a full council meeting, we can cancel the July meeting and have just that meeting. But we'll be in touch when we know more specifics.
We may end up doing a survey for your availability, so please pay attention to your emails and respond to that.
That one obviously is
Because
important to have more.
we have to do it within 60
It
days.
has to be in a form.
And that is
60
business days from the date that it was received.
Correct. So
So-
we're already in that month window.
Right. But we have,
We got a little time.
we can technically have July.
Yeah, but isn't 60 days from the day you guys have deemed
Correct, which is May 12th and May 13th.
Yeah, but
Right.
they're both deemed complete, so yeah.
Right, they're both complete, but then it's 60 business days, so
So
we have a little
they're,
bit of,
they're at least covered under SADMO
yeah.
at this point.
But we will be in touch as soon as we get the hearing
The
dates.
goal is
we'll-
to
we'll do
get
it.
these concluded for as soon as we can.
Anyone else?
And just to put it on the radar, there will be a clarification of territory, a COT, coming at some point for Dundee. Probably, my guess is the September meeting, by the time we work all that out. And that's simply a motion to clarify their prescribed territory with a roll call. Just so you know, and understand.
There's question as to what their territory is?
The DOH is trying to narrow, it's not well defined. It just states generic, like, towns and water districts, and so the DOH is looking for road boundaries,
Okay.
specific road boundaries to clarify.
Requests coming from the state to them, and they'll have to go through the
Right.
process.
It's nothing that Dundee initiated, it was all state driven.
Motion adjourned.
All right, do a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Anyone opposed? All right. Thank you.